Hello everybody, this is Sirik1983 and welcome back to Neverwinter Nights. Alright, we've got a lot of tales to get caught up, so let's start with Tommy's.
I'll figure.
Yeah. Let's get in a better angle here. There we go.
Eh?
Just want to talk, continue your story. Righto, I was telling you about Sammy's big plan to ruin old Tommy, wasn't I? Yes. So Sammy concocts his plan to have little Tommy thrown in prison, just like he'd been. He was going to steal the most fabulous gem in Llast, and I was to take the blame for it. If he could steal it, why wouldn't that make him famous? I didn't say that Sammy was the smartest halfling on the block. In his mind, having me stuck in a Llast prison and ravaged daily by burly convict cellmates was worth almost any price. Sammy. Maybe he still resented my stealing both his lady friends. Actually, I stole his wife too. Nah, that was years and years before. Anyway, since Sammy wasn't so skilled, he had to get some help. Ended up leveraging himself to a rather nasty elf by the name of Rhaegar. Rhaegar was good. He was also the meanest rogue in Llast, and Sammy had to practically become his servant to get him to agree. Rhaegar was also a pretty good pal of mine, though Sammy didn't know that. Oh, great. Thing was, I'd already been planning to heist that jewel myself all along. When Rhaegar tipped me off to Sammy's plan, I laughed so hard I just about peed my britches. So what did you do? I did the only thing I could, of course. I made a plan of my own and went ahead with the heist. Until the night of the heist, I didn't let on that I knew what Sammy was up to. He acted all innocent, of course, didn't say a word to me, even told me to get lost. It was quite a ruse, I tell you, but I saw through it all. He was no friend of mine, after all. He had become my arch-nemesis. Your arch-nemesis? Exactly. Like a cunning serpent, he had hidden himself as my friend. Never would I have suspected simple Sammy, the childhood pal I had depanced in front of the Molokai girl's squire. Still, I'd only wanted to teach Sammy a lesson. What happened to him the night of the heist was quite tragic. Oh no. Aye, it's terrible. The one thing I truly regret in my life. I shall have to tell you about it sometime. Let's just go on with your quest. I don't want to think about Sammy any longer. Alrighty. Man, I'm starting to think Sammy was a little right in his hatred of Tommy, but oh well. Let's talk to Daelan.
I've been waiting for...
Alright.
Yes?
Continue. I suppose I owe you an explanation of my days in Luskan, Kel. After all we have been through together. As I told you, I went to Luskan in search of glory and honor, but there is no honor to be found in that wretched city. What happened? At first I found a warm welcome in Luskan. Half-orcs are accepted there as nowhere else, and I quickly found work as a soldier serving one of the high captain rulers of the city. It was bloody, brutal work. Soldiers from different factions were always battling in the streets. Many men died by my hand during my weeks there. I killed them because I was paid to kill them, because they served a different master. There was no honor in these battles, Kel, only senseless, shameful death. Why didn't you just leave? You don't understand, Kel. All the killing, all the bloodshed. I liked it. It stirred my soul. Each morning I could taste the coming battles on my tongue and feel the rush of combat in my veins. I reveled in the slaughter like an animal, like a beast. It fed the dark taint of my father's orc blood and left a stain on my soul. I do not know how far I would have fallen had the fate not intervened and saved me from myself. What did you mean by fate intervening? My fury in battle earned me a promotion, and I was sent to the Luskan flesh markets to guard the slaves in their stockades. My first night at the stockades, the guards brought in a new batch of slaves. Among them was an old man, naked and feeble. I recognized the tattoos on his face as the markings of an Uthgard holy man. Whoa. I did not know him. He was from another tribe, but seeing him brought in, hands shackled behind his back, brought shame crashing down upon me. You helped him escape, didn't you? At first I did nothing. The old man looked at me as he passed, and I saw in his eyes that he knew I was of the Uthgard, and he knew what I had become. Without warning, the old man threw himself at the nearest guard, a foolish gesture of defiance, for he was still shackled and bound. He was knocked to the floor, and the guards began to beat him. My world vanished beneath a veil of blood-red rage. When I came to my senses, I stood bathed in gore. The other guards in the stockade all lay dead by my hand. What about the old man? The old man lay bleeding on the floor, stabbed by one of the guards during the fight. As I crouched over him, I saw his wounds were fatal. He gazed up at me and spoke in a voice choked with blood. Free the others. With my axe, I hacked away the chains of the other slaves in the stockades. Once they had all fled into the night, I returned to the old man's side. Go, he said with his dying breath. I could do nothing more for him, so I fled before my actions were discovered. I left Luskan that night, a man saved from himself by another's sacrifice. You did nothing wrong, Daelan. You fought some soldiers and freed some slaves. I thank you for your words, Kel, and I would like to believe you, but I know what I did in Luskan. I know what vile appetites I fed. I cannot deny my father's blood is within me. I can only hope to overcome this blight so that I may someday prove my spirit worthy of the Uthgard. Only then will my tribe welcome me back. Until then, this is my burden to bear, one of many. What do you mean by one of many? Forgive me, Kel. You have been a good friend to listen to my tale, but there are some things I am not yet ready to share with you. This is not the time to speak of such things, Kel. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right. Alrighty. Sounds like his tale's getting rather deep. Alright, let's talk to Grimgnaw next.
I have been waiting for you.
Yeah.
Is there something?
Continue your story. Earlier I mentioned my order's hatred of the abomination that is undeath, Kel, and I hinted at my own experience in battling such evil. I am not eager to dredge up those memories, but if we are to stand together, you deserve to hear the tale. What happened? Shortly after I had come to join the Order of the Long Death, one of my fellow monks returned to the monastery with ill news. He had discovered the lair of a powerful lich. Our service to the Silent Lord demands that we destroy such an affront to death, so we march forth to destroy the foul creature and end its unholy existence. I myself never faced the lich in battle, but I was one of many assigned to destroying the lich's zombie and skeleton servants. Never have I felt such revulsion or terror during a battle. I thought you liked killing in death. There is beauty in death. The exquisite agony of a mangled soldier's screams well up in a glorious crescendo before ending in a single perfect note of eternal silence. Wow, that was epic. The writhing torment of a flailing body is transformed into the magnificent truth of a frozen corpse, forever stilled. But when a corpse is not still, when the dead continue to shamble and stumble forward in a gross caricature of living flesh, where's death's beauty then, Kel? I didn't realize you were so squeamish. My order killed scores of zombies in the crypt that day, Kel. Their bodies disintegrated beneath my blows in a shower of rotting flesh, yet they pressed inexorably forward. But the true horror was yet to come. From the back of the tomb, where the highest-ranking monks of the order battled the lich herself, waves of dark necromancy spilled out over the battlefield. Several of my companions had fallen during the battle, and as the foul spell touched their corpses, they clambered to their feet. Zombies under the will of the enemy we sought to destroy. You mean you had to kill some of your own companions? We do not fear death, Kel, and had I been able to bring the Silent Lord's touch to my fallen comrades, I would not have felt such revulsion at this memory. But a zombie has no mind. It feels nothing. The pain that purifies and prepares us for death has no effect on such creatures. The understanding that comes during the moment of death is forever denied to such creatures. I destroyed the animated lumps of flesh that were once my brothers and sisters in the Order, but I could not truly kill them. The undead can never be given such release. What about the Lich? The Lich was destroyed, as were all its minions. We burned its lair, setting fire to the crypt so that the dark magic might be cleansed from a sacred place of death. But even though we were ultimately victorious, the cost was terrible. The horror of the battle haunts me still, as does the fate of my fallen brothers and sisters from the Order. I'm sorry for what happened to the other monks of your Order, Grimgnaw. I thank you for your words, Kel, though I doubt you truly understand. You bring death and destruction, but you do not understand it as we of the Long Death. The true horror of what happened to my brothers and sisters is too terrible to comprehend, but I have vowed to free them from the torment of their undeath. How do you plan to do that? You are a servant of the Silent Lord, Kel. You bring death and pain to the world, yet even so you are not a member of the Long Death. My order has secrets I am not yet ready to share with you. This is not the time to speak of such things, Kel. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death, and yada yada yada, and he'll tell us when he's ready. Alrighty. Next up, Boddyknock.
You're back.
Yeah.
Is there something you need?
Continue your story. This is difficult for me to speak of, Kel. What happened between my father and I, our falling out, is a painful memory. But maybe if I share the tale with someone else, I can ease some of the pain and guilt I feel over what happened. That is a logical assumption, isn't it? What happened? My father's days of groundbreaking research in agronomy are behind him. He is an old man, content to putter in his own garden, happily living out his days among his friends and family. But even so, he still receives gifts of strange exotic plants from distant lands so that he can add them to his garden. It is said that in spring, when the flowers bloom, my father's yard is the most beautiful place in Lantern. It truly is his pride and joy. Let me guess, you destroyed his garden. I wish that had been the only consequence of my actions, Kel. My father asked me to tend his garden for a few weeks while he went to visit a friend on the other side of the island. Everything went well the first week. I found the work enjoyable enough, though hardly as stimulating as my sorcerer's studies. He even came up with a more efficient watering system he could use on his plants. But in the second week I noticed the beginning of a rotweed infestation. Rotweed? I've never heard of it. Rotweed is a vile and noxious crawling vine with a foul, pungent odor. Unchecked, it will overrun any garden in a matter of weeks, choking the life from every other plant. Even worse, the roots release a powerful toxin into the earth, poisoning the soil so nothing else will grow on the land for years. And like most unwanted garden guests, rotweed is virtually impossible to kill. What did you do? The only way to deal with rotweed is through fire applied directly to their vines. If you can make the fire hot enough, the flames will be absorbed into the plant and burned down to the root, killing the weed. I still remember my father as a child using oil and torches to destroy a rotweed infestation. It was long and difficult work, for the vine is resistant to fire and it is difficult to make the flames hot enough to wither their roots. However, I had no such worries as I went out to the garden that morning. The infestation had only just begun, and I had a secret weapon. After all, I was a sorcerer. With visions of how pleased my father would be at the efficiency of my methods, I approached the weed and unleashed a burning hand spell directly at the vine. Something went wrong, didn't it? I made the mistake of approaching the problem without all the necessary data. My actions were logical in the context of my knowledge, but I was operating under a fatally flawed assumption. There was a reason my father used oil and torches to eliminate the infestation, rather than sending for the local mage. Magical fire destroys rotweed, but the intense heat causes the plant to violently explode. Oh. The vine burst, spewing forth molten sap that ignited everything it touched. The roots ignited in the earth, and columns of flame erupted from the soil, raining blazing bits of vegetation down all around me. Were you hurt? Miraculously, I was unharmed by the conflagration, though the entire garden was soon ablaze, as was my father's house, and the houses of our neighbors on either side. Oh jeez, he's turning into Tomi, or not Tomi, Linu. No one was injured, and for that, at least I am grateful. But by the time the fire brigade doused the flames, all three houses were ruined, and my father's prize-winning garden was nothing but ash. It was an accident, Boddyknock. You were only trying to help. It may have been an accident, Kel, but that does nothing to mitigate the cost of the terrible tragedy. My father is a wealthy man, so he did not begrudge me the compensation he had to pay to his neighbors or the cost of replacing his own home. But his garden was utterly destroyed, and for that he has never forgiven me. Maybe someday I can make it up to him, Kel. Just some gesture to heal the pain I have caused him. Like what? Please, I don't wish to discuss this any longer. The memory is too painful. Perhaps later I will be in a mood to speak more of my tale, but for now we should focus on your mission. The cult responsible for the Wailing Death must be found. Alright, let's talk to Linu.
I hoped that you would return, so I wait.
Yeah. Let's see if her story can bring a few more chuckles. Tell me more of your story, Linu. You want to know how Synth won my heart, Kel? I guess I could tell you about it. I couldn't face Synth. Since our embarrassing encounter, I had decided never to be near him again. Easier said than done when dealing with a daring adventurer. One night he scaled the 10-story wall of my parents' home and climbed in through the window. What happened? As he began to quietly serenade me, I sat bolt upright in bed and opened my mouth to scream. He jumped toward me to quiet me, but I didn't know it was him, so I brought my foot up and kicked him in the jaw. He stumbled backwards out onto the balcony. I leapt up to continue my attack, but when I got to the balcony, I saw his face in the moonlight. He was holding his jaw, his face wrinkled in pain. You mean you broke his jaw? I just bruised him, but it must have hurt a lot, because when I realized what I had done, I moved to help him, and he must have thought I was attacking again. Oh, great. He leapt over the edge of the balcony, since he didn't want to have to hurt me to stop me. Or so he said later. I thought he would fall and kill himself, so I ran over to stop him. He grabbed the edge of the balcony floor between the rails, and was trying to swing himself toward the lower terrace. I didn't see his fingers, though. Oh, great. Tell me you didn't. I stepped right on his right hand, causing it to slip off the edge. He managed to hang on with his left hand, though. Fearing he would die, I called on Sayanine for the strength to save him. I felt power flow into my muscles, and I reached over the edge, grabbing his hand. I pulled and heard a loud popping noise. All over the wall, dislocated shoulder and all. Well, at least he survived. I don't think he was terribly thankful at first. He just lay on the balcony trying to hold his shoulder and rub his jaw. I was trying to apologize, but he just kept begging me not to touch him. Finally, I got frustrated with his protests, and I grabbed his shoulder, popped it back into place, then cast a healing spell on him to relieve the pain. Did he forgive you? I never gave him the chance to think about it. I helped him up, kissed him soundly, then led him into my bedchambers and removed any thought of flight from his mind. Good for you! We were very close after that night, and we married a year later. Those were the happiest years of my life. I just wish they could have lasted. What do you mean? What happened? I can't talk about that right now. The memories are too unpleasant. Let us not talk of such things right now. Wow, Linu. Oh boy. Anyways, I guess we gotta talk to Sharwyn.
I suspected you'd show up here soon.
Yeah. Alright.
Yes? Is there something...
Just want to talk, I'd like to continue your story from before, Sharwyn. I had just mentioned the invitation from Athkatla, hadn't I? Yes, that's right. We went, though I had a sense of foreboding the entire way. The city of Coin lived up to its name. It was a golden, bustling place that rivaled even the Great Waterdeep. The palace we arrived at was larger than any building I had ever seen. Daelan assured me that we would find our fortune there, and for a while I thought he might be right. We were to play before the fabulously wealthy Lord and Lady Ornaris, and all seemed well. What went wrong then? Nothing went wrong at first. Daelan and I were pampered and prepared for our performance, and it went off without any problems. We sang in a great hall before several hundred nobles. It still takes my breath away to think about it, and the applause for a duet was thunderous. I remember being exhilarated and pleased as Daelan was. It was then that the Lord and Lady Ornaris came to greet us in person. Lord Ornaris was a fat and simple man who seemed bored. The lady, however, she was an exotic beauty. Violet eyes, elfin features, and an astounding gown. Every man watched as she passed. Did you ask why they invited you? Of course I asked why we were invited. Lady Ornaris... Yes. Lady Ornaris ignored me and fawned over Daelan, saying how she had spotted him in a lovely tavern in Beregost, and had wanted to meet him. I had been in Beregost too, of course, but I was completely ignored. She cooed over Daelan, and he was flushed with pleasure at the attention. He agreed readily to a year-long contract to perform. Of course, I was not happy about it. Daelan called me later and assured me that there was nothing to worry about. Nothing could have been further from the truth. Oldest story in the book. Perhaps not. I fought for Daelan, but things weren't as they seemed. That is a tale I'll continue at another time, however. I tire of thinking about Daelan Kell. Let's do something else. Alright, well, I guess that's all the time I have for this episode. So the next episode, we've only got one more person to talk to catch up on the tale, and that is Aribeth, which also happens to be the best one. But anyways, so yeah, I guess that's all the time we have for this episode. So the next episode, I'll talk to Aribeth to get hers caught up, and then we'll go out and pick up a few more side quests, and maybe we'll start heading north again a little further to see if we can find any more hints about the cult. This is Cyric 1983 signing off. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.